But I think one of the things that I've always liked about the sort of the intersection of art and science is that both of them challenge the way we see the world from very different ways. Science causes us to rethink what we think we know about the universe, and art often challenge us to think differently about how we feel about the world around us, about the universe. A good artist will challenge us on fundamental levels and enhance and challenge and excite us and carry us away. And it's also a way of expressing things that do have difficult ways of putting things together. So I think, as Bill said, the intersection between art and science has always been extremely, extremely important. And as we think about a world in which computers, whether it's AI or automation or what have you, or robotics, are going to be able to do more and more things that human beings used to be able to do. As we get to the higher level of things that robots and computers can't replicate, you get into things like poetry and language and art and design and a level of creativity and pattern recognition and playing with things that is still further than computers can go. They're getting better, but we've still got that headway on sort of the emotional, creative side that I think becomes more and more important as we have a world of automation that is more and more able to take over more and more complex tasks, but not the really creative ones.
So, are you afraid of artificial intelligence? Is everybody afraid that robots are going to take over and kill us all? So,
there's some running in the back.
Before that happens, just here's the thing that it's about art and science. Artificial intelligence now is where you make a machine that can learn, that improves its performance, and we all, I think, at some level, really prefer that to machines that can't change. But when you get a machine that decides to make art, then you'll be that will be art. That will be intelligent, maybe. So there's something fundamentally different between us and the machines we make so far. How many people are excited about the singularity? Really? Yeah. Nobody?
They've all seen Terminator.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to happen for that reason. I don't think you're going to get a machine that decides to make a better omelet just because it's cool. So lead on.
Okay, next question. Got someone way at the back.
I just can't. Don't make me pick, man.
Yeah. Back middle. Yeah, you with your hand up. Yep.
Yeah.
You.
Right there.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Matthew Raddick. I'm a fourth-year student in Information Systems and Analytics, and it's a question mostly for Bill, but the others can obviously answer too. Do you think that there's been a decline in children's educational, science-related programs? Because when you were on the air, there's also Popular Mechanics for Kids and a couple other programs. Do you think that there's been a decline in this, and this might actually, not overall, but might be negative towards introducing people to science and making just children more interested in science generally?
No. Here's why I say that. So you're a fan of the Science Guy show. I love you, man. Well, I put my heart and soul into that thing. Ada, did you watch it? Yeah. A lot of people did. Yeah. I love it. I love Mr. Pointlers. So, does everybody know who Derek Muller is? How about Physics Girl? Diana or Collin. And then Emily Calandrelli. So what's happened, instead of making a television show that's constrained by the clock, now people are making videos for the electric internet, where it's it's the same kind of information packaged in a new way to a new audience. And but I will say that we had very compelling evidence that 10 years old was as old as you, or about as old as you could be to get the so-called lifelong passion for science. Caitlin was before you were 10.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And Ada was before.
I wasn't here.
No, but you got excited about science before you were 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, way before you were 10.
Yeah.
And so one thing about the emerging science videos, mostly, if I can say the brand name YouTube, is they're not necessarily addressed to toddlers and people who are 7 or 8 years old. And that is something that is worthy of a chin stroke.
Yesterday, no, 2 days ago, and I'm absolutely serious, I watched a YouTube video with my son, who's 10, about them. Some guy dropped a molten hot or a red hot ball of metal into a glass filled with Skittles to see what would happen. And you know, there's so many of those slow motion exploding things.
Steel.
Well, what would you think happened?
I think you'd have rapid melting.
Rapid melting,
And
yes.
as a gas evolved, they might have a big.
No, it wasn't. It was all liquid, but it was like this carbonized black goo that prevents you from ever wanting to eat Skittles again. But that whole question of well, what happens if you do this? I mean, YouTube is great for that, and that access to so many more scientific or pseudo-scientific experiments. What happens if I drop an anvil on a watermelon? You know, those questions are now answered in places other than our own backyard.
So, words to live by. I worked at Boeing for a while on 747 airplanes. And as I like to say, don't worry, I was very well supervised. But there's a Boeing War was a test pilot named Tex Johnston who did a barrel roll with the prototype 707. You guys remember a 707? It's the first, the jet airliner that looked like a jet airliner. And he did a roll with it, which, you know, you don't normally do. I don't know how many airplanes you've been on, but they don't normally turn them all the way over. And he landed, and, you know, Boeing management expressed concern. What are you doing? And he said, I'm selling airplanes. And he affected that. Have you ever seen The Right Stuff, that movie?
Yeah.
He was a World War II veteran, and everybody started talking like Chuck Yeager. This is like down holler, West Virginia country. You know, I'm just an old country boy flying this amazing jet airplane. And then the second thing he said was, or he said, supposed to have said, was, one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. And that's really the name of the game in science, right? You can speculate, but when you really drop the molten ball into the Skittles, that's when you find out what would really happen. And this is really an important idea right now. We're living at this extraordinary time where people have this idea, this notion that your opinion is as good as peer-reviewed scientific research. We have people running around, mostly in the United States, actually genuinely spending time on the electric Twitter machine about the Earth maybe being flat. I mean, if I may, like, dude, the Earth is round. We got pictures from space, you know, like, if this world is flat, why don't you go to the edge and take a picture with your phone and send it to everybody? And the guy wanted to have he had a Kickstarter campaign to build a spacecraft that would go up high enough to take a picture of the flat Earth. I invited him to the launch. If you for some reason are not members of the Planetary Society, which would be weird, I encourage you all to check us out at planetary.org, and we're going to launch our second solar sail after June 13th in Cape Canaveral. If you've never been to a launch, it really is amazing. It's amazing. So I invited a guy to come to a launch, but just that you have that way of thinking in the 21st century is astonishing to me. And what we got to do is include people. That somehow, like you and Caitlin, I mean, science is your thing. It's your world, right? But there's people who have somehow, if I may, fallen off the edge.
There is no edge. You just established
That's right, yeah. That somehow have not been included and not embraced this process that it brought us so much prosperity. You know, we have, when I was 9, I went to the World's Fair in New York. The town's so nice, they named it twice. And, the United Nations had a total board of the world's human population, and it was believed to be about 3 billion people, 1965. Yes, there were people alive in 1965. And now there's 7.4 billion, and by the time you guys are my age, certainly there will be 9 billion. There might be 10 billion people. And they're all going to want to live and eat and carry on the internet and so on the way we do in the developed world. And to provide for all those people, we're going to have to use science. The agriculture of the future is going to feed more people. The medicine of the future is going to save or improve the lives of more people. And the people who make a living farming or working in a job in a factory, in an office, or a law firm, or wherever it is, are going to drink water that you are going to purify. And so the future is very exciting, but that fundamental idea that's going to be different for you all than it was for me, and especially my immediate ancestors, is I think we're going to, as humans, we have to look at the world as our world, like a, sort of a Star Trek vision, or a Star Wars vision, where you go to a planet, and for the simplicity of storytelling, the whole planet is this one thing. The whole planet, on this planet everybody speaks one language, on this planet everybody wears snowshoes, on this planet everybody swings through the jungle on vines, or whatever it is. Humans are going to have to look at the world and the environment differently, in that we are in charge. We are going to be running the show, for better or for worse. We are responsible for the health of the ecosystems, which in turn control or manage our health. And so that's where I look to you all to take this world view, and this is where I look really, Mr. Prime Minister, to Canada. You have this unique situation where you have this extraordinary diversity and this extraordinary environment, and you have these extraordinary renewable resources. And so I'm very excited, very much appreciate you all inviting me, because as a guy who grew up in the US, I looked at Canada as a world leader in this unique combination of passion, artistic thinking, respect for the stewardship of the environment, and diversity. So let's take.
I know we could go all day. Let's try over on this side, at the, right here. I don't know where the person with the microphone is. Right there?
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Maxim Lee. I'm a fourth-year student in health sciences here at the university. My question is regarding healthcare. So what policies or practices do you know of that encourage syncretism in healthcare innovation, to make sure that all perspectives of traditional and modern medicine are taken into consideration to build a more inclusive healthcare system for all in Canada?
Thank you.
I think one of the fundamental things that's a strength but also a challenge in our healthcare system is that we don't have a healthcare system in Canada. We have 10 different provinces with 10 different healthcare systems that focus on delivery in around the same principles, but different ways. Of course, the territories do their thing as well. So we need to make sure that we are treating all Canadians to the quality level that they expect, but there's an ability to innovate and to adapt to local challenges where in some places you have a more rapidly aging population. Sorry, the population is not aging more rapidly, there's more elders there, so the demographics is going up. Relatively whole and new breath.
Yeah.
But
second law of thermodynamics,
that challenge that we have is, of course, making sure that as we have a population that is aging, as we have a population that is living longer, which is a good thing as we solve for
because they can keep paying taxes.
we have to make sure that they stay healthier. And of course, it is more expensive to extend someone's life from 90 to 100 than it would be to extend someone's life from 50 to 60, for example. So we have to be a lot more innovative in embracing new technologies, folding in AI, folding in personalized medicine, making sure that we're drawing on traditional knowledges, indigenous and otherwise, that have understood certain things about longevity and healthiness.